Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the Wagner Group, is reported to have died in a business jet crash in Russia. His name was on the passenger list. India has become only the fourth country in history to land a spacecraft on the moon and the first ever to land at the moon's south pole.
Emergency services in Greece, Turkey, Italy and Spain battle wildfires along the Mediterranean front. Authorities issue new evacuation orders.
The head of Russia's Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, is presumed dead after a business jet crashed. The plane's reported to have come down on its way from Moscow to St. Petersburg, where the private military company he headed is based. It crashed in the Tver region. 10 people were on board, including 7 passengers. Rosaviatsia, the national aviation regulator, says all those on board were killed. According to its records, Yevgeny Prigozhin's name was on the passenger list. It's exactly 2 months since the start of the Wagner Group's mutiny, when its troops, including convicts freed to fight in Ukraine, advanced on Moscow following frequent attacks on the handling of the war by Prigozhin himself. A former prisoner himself, Prigozhin was nicknamed Putin's chef after setting up a catering company. Wagner's role expanded to include the supply of mercenaries or deniable soldiers to conflicts in Syria and Africa. They've since been in Belarus.
Who is here to encourage.
A proud and historic moment for India and its Prime Minister, as its probe successfully landed on the moon. Celebrations in the control room for the first ever landing on the moon's south pole. India becomes only the fourth country ever to complete a moon landing, after the USA, the Soviet Union and China. The landing site on the far side of the moon was chosen because it's thought that craters there could hold frozen water. Inside the 6-wheeled lander is the rover module of Chandrayaan-3, which is designed to carry out tests and bring back samples of rocks and soil. The Indian launch on July the 14th pitched it into an unexpected moon race with Russia, but its probe failed to make the surface and crashed earlier this week. Coming after an unsuccessful attempt in 2019, this mission has revived and rewarded India's space dreams.
Wrapped in a suffocating cloud of thick smoke, Athens woke up on Wednesday to more wildfires. Greek authorities in the capital say they are most concerned about the inferno near Mount Parnes, and the national park here is in danger of going up in flames. So far, this new bout of wildfires has claimed the lives of 20 people, and officials have issued new evacuation orders. The Alexandroupolis region in the northeast of the country is most affected, and there is no sign of these flames slowing down. Çanakkale in neighbouring Turkey is also being evacuated. A forced halt of all vessels sailing through the Dardanelles Strait has also been issued due to the lack of visibility from the heavy smoke. Dozens of people here have been treated for smoke inhalation. The blazes have also made headlines in Italy. 17 cities are on red alert due to the intense heat. 2 fires broke out on the hills near San Remo, close to the French border. While most of the evacuees on the Spanish island of Tenerife have returned home, the country is now dealing with a forest fire north of the Iberian Peninsula. These images have been recorded in Rebadeo, Asturias. Some residents here are in danger of losing their homes.
A head teacher and 3 of his staff were killed in a drone attack on a school in Ukraine's northeastern Sumy region. The building at Romny was destroyed. Earlier, a grain store at a port on the Danube was the target of another airstrike. Neither of the drone attacks on civilian targets was mentioned in Russia's daily update. Ukraine claims to have destroyed an important Russian S-400 missile defense system in Crimea, calling it a painful blow to Russian forces, and giving more ammunition to President Zelensky's argument that the counter-offensive is working.
Ми йдемо вперед, нам дуже складно, просто щільне мінування, тисячі мін. Ось це те, що залишає по собі Росія. Найголовніше – тенденції. Тенденція така, яку доповідають мені військові, яку я отримую щоденно. Ми йдемо постійно рухаємось вперед. Так потроху, але тим не менш напрямок правильний.
A wanted man, Vladimir Putin, appeared at the BRICS summit by video link.
Россия приняла решение поддержать людей, которые борются за свою культуру, за свои традиции, за свой язык, за свое будущее. Наши действия на Украине продиктованы только одним – положить конец той войне, которая была развязана Западом и их сателлитами на Украине против людей, живущих на Донбассе.
The steel and glass skyscrapers of Moscow's upmarket business district were once again targeted by drones. Russian officials say nobody was hurt.
The Ukrainian advance in their bulletin area in western Zaporizhia region brings Ukrainian forces closer to launching operations against second lines of defense that may be relatively weaker than the first Russian defensive line in this area. The Institute for the Study of War says Russian forces deployed to the wider western Zaporizhia area have been defending against Ukrainian counter-offensive since the start of it without rotation. They do not appear to have uncommitted regular units in this area. This suggests that second lines of Russian defense may be significantly less heavily defended. Ukrainian offensive operations in other sectors of the front remain important because they can fix Russian units in place and prevent further lateral reinforcements. Ukrainian offensive operations south of Velika Novosilka, here in this area, proceeding in parallel with operations towards Melitopol in this direction, present Russian defenders with multiple dilemmas and the need to choose which axis to reinforce. Ukrainian offensive operations around Bakhmut here have fixed elements of multiple Russian airborne divisions and separate brigades in the area, as the Institute for the Study of War has previously noted, rendering them likely unavailable to stiffen Russian resistance in the south of Ukraine. The Institute for the Study of War states sound campaign design requires balancing between waging a decisive main effort and avoiding allowing the enemy to concentrate all reserves on stopping a single obvious thrust.
Germany's cabinet on Wednesday approved a plan to make it easier for transgender, intersex and non-binary people to change their name and gender in official documents. Under the plan's self-determination law, which has been in the works for over a year, adults will be able to change their first name and legal gender at registry offices without further formalities. The legislation still needs approval by Parliament. The Justice Minister said the aim of the legislation was to make life easier for a small group for which it has great significance.
Record-breaking temperatures are expected to hit the French city of Lyon in the coming days, and many find themselves looking for shade. With a heat dome settled above this part of Europe, some tourists from the north of France are surprised by the temperature difference.
On est arrivé à 11h,
ce matin,
15 ce matin,
ouais.
à la gare. Ouais, il y a 15 degrés d'écart, donc ouais, quand même.
Emphasis has been put on green spaces to counter the heat wave. With opening hours extended, inhabitants can benefit from parks in the city for their relative coolness. It is one of the few measures put in place by the city to help its inhabitants to cope with the heat.
While several departments in southeastern France are on maximum alert due to the heat wave, some town halls like this one here are setting up air-conditioned rooms to protect their residents.
For Véronique Dubois-Bertrand, mayor of Lyon's 3rd district, creating such space is crucial for the most vulnerable people.
Les personnes âgées qui d'habitude jouent au tarot ou à la belote dans les parcs, peuvent venir ici pour faire leur partie au frais et continuer à avoir cette vie sociale qui est importante.
This is the case for Michelle, who decided to come and enjoy this space away from her apartment, which she says she cannot cool down.
Et que chez moi, il fait trop chaud. Au bout de quelques jours, enfin depuis 3 jours, on ne peut pas faire descendre la température en dessous de 30 degrés et c'est même 31 aujourd'hui, donc.
But more permanent solutions are needed in European cities. A recent study found that 62,000 people died in Europe of heat-related causes during 2022, while 2023 already broke several heat records.
As southern Europe grapples with wildfires caused by the intense heat, some of its smallest victims need an extra pair of hands to escape the flames. Along with the tragic loss of human life, the death toll of trapped animals, wild or domestic, is growing. In Athens, animals in the Ano Liosia district were rescued by volunteers. Dogs, cats and even turtles were among the creatures saved. Many stayed behind while their owners were evacuated or fled in a hurry from the flames. In some places, such as Tenerife, shelters have been created for animals affected by evacuations.
Los perros están un poco estresados porque no están en su hábitat normal. Pero bueno, un poco así cuando ven un perro que no conocen y tal, pero están bien.
No, aquí no le falta de nada, la verdad, y menos mal, porque claro, como salimos con lo que poco que teníamos y demás.
But being tied down to man's best friend all day can be exhausting. Volunteers know this and help however they can.
Cuando los propietarios a lo mejor no están aquí porque necesitan coger aire y demás, nos ofrecemos voluntarios para pasearlos y que también desconecten un poco de estar aquí encerrados a las 24 horas.
Despite the hardship they faced, these pets are lucky. Wildfires claim millions of animal lives globally every year, many of whom are endangered.